Okay, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 8, Solve Percent Problems. The overall chapter essential question is, when is it better to use a fraction, a decimal, or a percent? Okay, now I have been answering that question pretty often. So you should now be able to actually answer that question with some type of certainty. When is it better to use a fraction? Fractions are used when you are cutting something up, okay? You don't want to take 0.5 of that, take half of that, right? Or when you're divvying something up, you're probably going to use a fraction of some sort. A decimal is normally used when you are actually trying to figure out a more exact answer for an idea. Although, really, fractions are more of an exact answer of something. Decimals, again, used for batting averages are done in baseball and other things of the sort. Now, right off the top of my head, I really can't think of another reason why you'd use decimals. But like I said, baseball is the one that I usually refer to. Percentages are used everywhere. We use percentages in tests. We use percentages in sports all the time. So that's how that works. And okay, so the lesson essential question is, how can you use proportions to solve percent problems? I'll show you that as we go along, and I will answer that in this video. Okay? I gotta hope I remind myself. All right. Vocabulary startup. A proportion is an equation that shows two ratios are equivalent. Meaning, if you've got two things are being equal to each other, and even though the numbers don't match, the proportions are correct. Okay? Just like 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4, or 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8, or stuff like that. Okay? In a percent proportion, one ratio compares a part to the whole. Now, I kind of introduced that to you on the last lesson, so here it's coming right now. Okay? The other ratio is the equivalent percent, written as a fraction with a denominator of 100, which is the very definition of a percent, because a percent is a ratio comparing any number to 100, right? And that's what this is doing right here. Percent written as a fraction with a denominator of 100, which is the very definition of percent. Okay? Now here's some things that we're going to show you here. How can you compare part and whole? Okay? The fraction 2/5, the part is 2, the whole is 5. What do you call the part? The part is 2, the whole is 5. Okay? Using the information in the first ratio, fill in the others. So 2/5 is the same thing as 2/5 or 2/5. They would still say that 2/5. Okay? Now 2/5 is equivalent to what over 100? All right? So remember this idea? We're using equivalent fractions. What does it take? So if you can't figure this out right off the top of your head, use division. This is going to be 100 divided by 5, okay? And then this is obviously 2. And you got to break down this 0, and you still got to add another 0, because you got to get all the way to the end of the decimal, okay? So 5 times 20 makes 100. So you multiply 2 times 20, you get 40. Well, this right here is the very definition of a percent. So 40% of 5 is 2. Okay? You should have been able to pretty much figure that out in the beginning, because 2/5 is the same as 0.4, right? When you do the division, and then all of a sudden you come up and you change every decimal to a percent, and it comes up to 40%. Okay? Now I'm going to be taking my time in this lesson, because this lesson can be a little confusing. Okay? Real world link, basketball. Kara's on her school basketball team. She has completed 9 out of 12 free throw shots successfully. Write the ratio as a percent and as a fraction in simplest form. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. Okay? I'm going to start out as a fraction. Okay? Because this is a ratio here, and we should be able to turn that into a fraction with no problem. Right? That's 9/12. But that is not in its simplest form. To get it into its simplest form, we got to find a common factor between the two. Okay? Right? Remember this whole get up here? right? This is even, so we're going to, 2 times 6, and I'm going to bring this down. This is my factor tree, 2 times 3. And then we're going to circle everything that they got in common, okay, which is 3. So we're going to divide out a 3. Then you get 3/4, okay? Now, they want us to write this as a ratio, as a percent, all right? Since it's in its simplest form, it looks like we can go ahead and compare it to 100 at this point in time. But if you don't know how to compare it to 100, like this, right? You got, this is times 25, or 25 fours and 100. So you got to multiply 3 times 25, and you get 75, all right, which is equal to 75%. Now, if you can't just do this part, right, you can take 3/4. Here, let me get rid of this little screen here so I can extend my page. All right, you can take 3/4 and turn it into a division problem. Remember, a fraction is just an unsolved division problem. You do the division here, you got to give yourself the decimal. This goes into 7 times 28, right? Do the subtraction, it gives you 2. You got to give it 0. You got to add x to 0, and then you see that it's 0.75. Okay? Now, once this is 0.75, or I should say 75 hundredths, right? You can change this into I'll figure it out. Hold on, a percent by moving the decimal over 2 times to the left, right? You move it over 2 times to the left and add a percent sign, and you got 75%. So either one of these two ways is a great way to figure out the ratio as a percent. Now, in fraction form, that should have been easy for you, okay? You're just writing the ratio as a fraction and then simplifying. All right. The number line to find, use the number line to find the whole. I don't know if I really like using a number line. I don't even know if I'm going to even show this. But I think we should just go over it because just in case there are some problems that are asking you to do it, again, I don't know if I'm going to even have you do those problems. So let's look at it. If you know the part and the percent, you can find the whole or the total. You have used bar diagrams to solve percent problems. Double number lines. Wait a minute, I'll get it. Okay, double number lines are another way to illustrate percents. All right, so here we go. They got this double number line. Now again, I don't really know if I like this or not. All right, so what they've done is they've drawn out what is 10 is 25% of what number? Now again, I don't know if I like this. 10 is 25% of what number? They got this double line, right? And they've got 100% written here, and they've got these 10s written out, and then they make they break up the number line into 4 parts here, right? Right here, they're breaking up into 4 parts, into fourths, showing that every 25%, and at 25% they do this and they do this. Now I don't know if I see what they do. What they're doing is that they're doing this. They take this first number line, right? All right. And they make it go from 0 to 100. Okay? 100%. All right? And each one of these quarter marks are 25%. Right? 50%, 75%. Then what they do is they take a second number line, they draw it, and again they break it up into quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. What we do know is we know that this is 0, and we know that 25% is 10. So then what they need to know is, since we got to go, 1, 2, 3 more shots over, we go 1, this is another 25%, so that makes this 20. We go 2, another 25% makes this 30, and 3, another 25% makes this 40. Now, that can be kind of hard to conceptualize, okay? So I have another way of solving it, okay? We have this, what they call is over of equals percent over 100, okay? This is what I like to use. First off, I'm going to get rid of this number line that's over here, these double number lines, okay?
Attention teachers and staff, at this time, please report.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so you got this is over of equals percent of 100. Okay, we know the is, 10 is, so you fill in the is as 10, okay? We know 25%, okay? So we put 25, we know the 100. The only thing we don't know is this, okay? Now, the way to solve this is you cross multiply. Okay? You cross this way and you cross this way. All right? I'm going to continue this up here. All right? So you got 10. That's a horrible 10. Wow. Can't do anything, right? You got 10 times, this is how I do multiplication, right? Is equal to 25 times question, all right? Or whatever you're going to use as a placeholder for that number, all right? 10 times 100 is 1,000, is equal to 25 times question mark. Now, to get this 25 over to the other side of the equal sign, we have to divide by 25, okay? It crosses that out, and then you 25 over here. And 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. So question mark is 40. So that's our of. All right? All right, now that might be a little confusing. I will show you this in class, so you'll know how to do it before you even see this video. Okay? Now, again, this double line marks. I don't know if I like this. I just don't know. I guess if it's in use of 25s and 10s and stuff like that, but if it's an unusual number, this doesn't always work with the number lines. So again, I'm going to show you how to do the is over of is equal to a percent over a number. Okay? Country music makes up 75, so we'll set up our equation. We know 100. That's all we know. Okay? We see that the percent is 75. Country music makes up 75% of Landon's music library, so that's 75. Okay? Now we don't know the is or the of. If he has downloaded 90 country songs, how many songs does Landon have? I can't say his name. Landon have in his music library. Okay, this is kind of hard to see what this is. Okay, but this is the is. Okay, this is the is. This is the or part. It's also called part. Part over whole is also what it's called. Part over whole. Okay, it looks like I'm not going to get this video done in time for class. Okay, all right, so we got the part is 90 and we don't know the whole. So again, the question mark. Again, cross multiply. Okay, you got 90 times 100 is equal to 75 times a question mark. Whatever you want to call it. Okay, 90 times 100 is 9,000 is equal to 75 times question mark. All right, now all we got to do is we have to divide by 75 on each side. Okay, do the work. I'll do the work down here. Okay. So you got 9,000 divided by 75. Goes in once, so that's 75. Then you got, that makes it 8. So you got 150, right? You got to bring down the 0. And then 75 times 150 is 2, right? Let me extend the page, so that's 150. Now I'm not done yet because I still need another 0 to add here, okay? So it's 120. So our question mark, or our whole, the question mark is equal to 120. So he has 120 songs. See how that works? Okay? It's a little confusing at first, but once you start doing it a couple of times, okay, you can do it. So you got the is, right? So try to pause the video by the time you get to B here and try to see if you can do B. C is a little difficult to pull apart, but you should be able to figure it out also. Okay, because again, you're looking at part over whole. So you've got to set up your percents and everything like that. That's what we know right now. So 30 is, the is goes on top. Okay, we know 50%, so that goes here. And we don't know this. Okay, cross multiply, and you got 30 times 100 is equal to 50 times a question. What is that? There's something on my board, right? So that's 3,000 is equal to 50 times a question mark. Divide by 50. Okay, and then you get, maybe I'll get an interruption again. Okay, and you take 3,000 and divide it by 50. Okay, and this goes 6 for 300, right? And you got to bring down the 0, and so you need to bring that 0 up. Okay, so then you got question mark is equal to 60. That's how that works. All right. Again, is over of. Remember, this is the equation. Is over of is equal to percent over 100. Set up your problem. We know 100. Okay. 60 is. So now we know the is. Okay. 20%. That goes here. We don't know this. Cross multiply. Okay. You got 60 times 100 is equal to that. Okay? So then we got 6,000 is equal to 20 times question mark. All right? Got to divide by 20 on each side. Okay? Remember, that's what's happening here. Get rid of the 50. You're moving the 20 over, I mean, not the 50. The 20 over. And then when you divide 6,000 by 20, okay, it goes into 3 right here. Whoop. All right? You got to bring down the 0, so 0 goes there. And then another 0. You got to bring that 0 up. Okay? So then you'll see that question mark is equal to 300. Okay, again, I'm going to show you this in class, so don't panic if you don't understand it right away. All right? Now, this one's kind of hard. We've got to set up our is over 100%, over 100. Peyton spends 60% of her money to buy a new television. If the television cost 300, how much money did she have? So we don't know the whole again. So again, the whole is here, or the of. I mean, yeah, of. And this is the part. Okay? I know I'm switching between terms here, but you got to understand that it's, the equation is part over whole is equal to percent over 100. But when you see it in shortened form, it's really is over of. Okay? Cross multiply. So 300 times 100, right, is equal to 60 times question mark. Then you got 30000, so that's 30,000 over 60 question mark, right? Divide by 60. Divide by 60. Let me extend the page. Then you take 30,000 divided by 60, right? It goes into 5 times, so right there, right? You got a 0, but you got to bring down another 0, so that 0's got to come up here. This 0's got to come down here, so you need this 0. Okay, sorry about that. All right, back to the video. All right, here's that part over whole which I've been preaching about throughout this entire video, where this is really is over of. Okay? It is also equal to part over whole. This is the same thing. We're talking about part over whole. That is the is of over of. Okay? Now the diagram, we'll go ahead and read this. Use the percent proportion. The diagram uses the percent proportion to show that 75% of 32 is 24. Okay? As you can see, this is really the is, and this is the of. Okay? Now, when you cross multiply all this, you'll see that they both become equal if you look at it real close. Okay? When you cross multiply this, right? So you got 24 times 100, which is an easy number to solve for. And you got 75 times 32, which is a little more difficult to solve for. 24 times 100, just add 2 zeros onto it. Okay? And then we'll do some work off to the side here. 75 times 32. All right? 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Annex is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. All right? 0, 0, carry the 1. 4, 2. 2,400. As you notice, they are all equal at this point in time. That's why this works, okay? Recognize why this works. Now, moving on to the actual problem using part over a whole, or is over of, okay? 15 is 30% of what number? Wow, I just can't seem to talk today. Okay, 15 is 30% of what number? So we know set up our problem, right? You get is over of, percent over 100, so we know the 100. We know the is, 15 is, or the part, as what they had assigned it here, right? That's what they show here. We don't know the whole yet, so I'll just use a question mark as a marker. You know what? I'm going to stop using question mark as a marker, and I'm going to start using a letter. That letter is going to be X as my marker, holding that spot. Here they use a little box. I will be using X, okay? Then we know the percent. The percent is 30, okay? Cross multiply, right? Now, I don't know if you can notice, but 30 is double 15, so this will probably, the answer will probably be 50, but that's okay, we'll work it out. So you cross multiply, you got 15 times 100 is equal to 30 times, our new letter is X. So this is kind of algebraic looking, I know, and this is good that you're learning some algebra right now. Okay, 15 times 100 is 1,500, easy to work with. You got 30 times, and I'm just going to put the X like that. To get the 30 over to the one side, you have to do 30, you have to divide by 30. Sorry about that. Somebody came in. All right, so where we're at, we're dividing by 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1, so you just have x left over. And then you take 1,500 and you divide it by 30, right? Times 5 is going to give you 150, because 3 times 5 is 15. Add a 0 to it. This will be 0. Got to bring down this 0. So you got to have a 0 up here. So x is equal to 50. Like I said before, you could kind of figure that out if you're just looking at it, right? So you got this box right here is equal to 50, just like it is here, okay? Now, going down here, let's get this done with, right? I want you to fill these boxes out as I'm doing it, all right? So you got the part, which is 225, goes here, 225. You got the percent, which is here. We already know the 100. It should be written here. Now here I'm going to, again, use x as a placeholder. Now, here they do some stuff. I really don't like what they're doing here, because what they're doing here is they happen to know that 225 is a multiple of 75. Okay, but if it's not a multiple of 75, how would you solve it? So you do the is over of, okay? You cross multiply here, 225 times 100, right? Which is 22,500 is equal to 75 times x, okay? We have to divide each number by 75 to get rid of to get the 75 over here, okay? Then we take 22,500 divided by 75. Let me see, that's going to go about 4 times, maybe. Let's try 4. 0 carry the 2. No, 4 is too much. Let's try 3. I think 3 will actually do it. Times 3. Right, got 15, carry the 1. That's 21, 22, so that's it. Right? So this is 3. Got to bring up these 2 zeros here, and then you'll see that it all works its way out to 300. So x is equal to 300. So we come over here, and we can go ahead and do that. 300, right? 225, 75. Since 75 times 300, well, what did they do there? Yeah, since 75 times 3 equals 225, multiply 100 by 3. I guess, again, I don't really like what they're doing there. I think that that's just coincidence that 225 is a multiple of 75. So this doesn't really work all the time. That's why this is over of does work every time. This is the winner. That's what you will use while you're doing it. And we figured out that this is what, 300. Yay. Nothing big. All right. Is that the end of that? Yeah, it looks like it. All right. I want you to try to do these on your own, please. All right, pause my video. If you're not sure still what to do, watch what I do for the first 2. Try to do the second 2 on your own. All right, take a second to pause. Pause. All right, we're back. All right, so you got your is over of is equal to percent over 100. We know the is 75. We know the percent is 15, and we know the 100. Okay, we don't know this, so I'm going to replace it with x. You cross multiply. You take 75 times 100. Okay, is equal to 15 times x. All right, 75 times 100 is 7,500. And you got 15x. Right. You could take away the parentheses, and 15x is an actual. We know. As far as mathematicians are concerned, we recognize that 15x is 15 times a number. We don't know that number, so that's what we're doing. We leave it as an x. All right? We divide everything by 15. That was my mail coming in. All right? 15 divided into 7,500. I know it's a big number, but you still got to do it. Right? And what is that? Times 5? That looks about right. Yep. Times 5, so you got 75. All right? You got to bring up these 2 zeros. All right? And then you recognize that x is equal to 500. Forgive me, I'm moving a little bit fast because I'm live right now in front of my first period class, and I just want to get this over with. All right. The next question is, 9 is 30%, 36% of what number? We know the is, we know the percent. We don't know the of. So go ahead and set up our problem. The is 9. The percent is 36 over 100. Okay? And we don't know our of. We cross multiply real quick. That's 9 times 100, which I know you can figure out as 900, which I almost wrote. All right, and then you got 36x. Again, I'm not going to use parentheses to divide things up because, again, I explained to you that x is a variable. A variable is an unknown number. Okay, so then we multiply 9 times 100 is 900. is equal to 36x. We divide by 36 on each side. Again, to try to move the 36 over. We're trying to get the variable by itself. When you divide, here, let me move all this stuff out of the way. Hopefully I set it up so I can. Good. Smart Todd. All right. You take 900, you divide it by 36. We're just going to go in there twice, it looks like. 2 carry the 1, that's 7, so 72, right? So that's twice. 9, 8, so that's 1, 8, 0. And 180 is what, 5? Is that what that is? So times that by 5, that's what it looks like. 0 carry the 3. No, it is not. Yes, it is. 18. There you go. All right, so it's 25. So x is equal to 25. So that's our number, right? Here, let me start circling these because I know I'm making a mess on my board here. Normally, you'd be doing this on a sheet of paper so you can keep your work nice and orderly. Remember, as we get farther along in math, things are going to get bigger and messier and more room is needed to work with. So make sure that when you are working, you have a piece of paper that you are working with and not just the work that is provided or the space that is provided you in the workbook, okay? All right. Again, you should now absolutely pause this video and try to do these last two on your own. This is not a hard concept, folks. All right. Pause, coming back from the pause. All right, you set up your is over of is equal to a percent over number over 100. You can put the 100 in. 7 is, so you can put in 7 for is. 70% is the percent. All right, put x as your unknown variable. Okay, 7 times 100 is equal to 70 times an unknown. 7 times 100 is 700. It's equal to 70 over x. As you can probably guess right now, this is going to be somewhere in the 10 multiple, a multiple of 10 of some sort. And look, 70 divided by 700 divided by 70 is 10. So x equals 10. All right. Again, next problem is 7 is. That's a lovely sound. Sorry about that. That's such a lovely noise. That should wake you up, right? We know that we have 100 over here, right? We know the is. 7 is 35%. We know the percent. We don't know the we don't know of. All right. We cross multiply. We got 7 times 35 is equal to 100 times. Nope. Whoops. Totally screwed that up. All right. Let's try it again. It's 7 times 100 is equal to 35 times an unknown. All right. So 7 times 100 is 700 is equal to 35 times x. Divide each number by 35. Right? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get x by itself, and that's how you get x by itself. Remember, 35 times x. The way you undo multiplication is through division, right? Remember, we've talked about that. Opposite operations, right? Where you have the opposite of addition is subtraction. To undo addition, you use subtraction. To undo multiplication, you use division. Okay, so you take 700 divided by 35. It's going to go, I'm pretty sure, twice. But I'll do the math just to make sure. Yeah, there you go. So that's going to be 0. That 0 needs to come up. So we know that x is equal to 20. Okay, this should be about it. I think I'll have one more slide. All right. Before 1982, the pennies were 95% zinc and 5% copper. If 100 pennies minted in 1980 have an approximate mass of 15 grams of copper, what is the total mass of 100 pennies? Okay, oh boy, is that awful. Okay, now, what are we talking about? We're talking about copper. We're not talking about zinc. So wipe out the zinc. Let's ignore the zinc. This number has no meaning here. This number has no meaning. Okay, they are trying to figure out what is the total mass of 100 pennies. Okay, so we know the of is 15. I mean the is 15. We know the percent is 5, and we know 100. I know that was kind of hard to pull that out of there. You're going to have to take your time. If you don't understand it, please come and see me so we can talk about it. Okay? The percent is 5. Okay? So we know we have our unknown. We cross multiply real quick. All right? 15 times 100 is equal to 5 times x. Right? So this is 1500 is equal to 5 times x. We divide by 5 to undo multiplication. We divide by 5, and then we figured out that x is 300. We don't need to do the math there because we know 5 times 3 gives us 15, and then the 2 zeros have to come up. Okay, that is the end of the video. Sorry that it had to go so fast. It's just that I had to get this one done. Remember, just pause me or come and see me if you don't understand it. I am going to give a personal lesson today on is over of equals percent of a number. Or it is also called part over whole is equal to percent of a number. All right. If you understand the lesson, start the guided practice on page 158. If not, put your name in the help bucket. Once you are done with the guided practice and I've checked it, start the guided practice, the extra practice on page 161, 162. Remember just to do the odds. Quit asking me if it's just the odds, okay? Do only the odds. Thank you. Goodbye.